pirate magic in the air. Head to toe so clear. Look out. You see in her face the mirror of your dream. Make believe I'm everywhere. I'm hidden in the light. Written on the pages is the answer to a never-ending story.
And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Don't read them. And if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Don't read them. Girls read comics. Girls have always read comics. Problem solved. White boys, comic book reader. Don't buy my book. Don't buy my book. I literally can't even think. We can have a little conference on that. Would you please get your politics out of my comic books? Don't read them. What comic books are you reading? What comic books are you reading? Would you please get your politics out of my comic books? Don't read them. What comic books are you reading? What comic books are you reading? Comic book reader. Comic book reader. May I curse? White boys, don't read them. We're very worried about comics right now. Independent comic sales are down. Mainstream comic sales are down. Everything in the mid-list is way down. You don't make a lot of money that way. There is nothing inherently masculine of heroism. There's nothing inherently masculine heroism. Girls read comics. Girls have always read comics. Problem solved. Magic! Going into the red on singles and not coming out until the trades. Stores are closing. You don't make a lot of money that way. So don't. Comics are booming.
Hold your breath and count to 10. Just count to 10.
Yes, you can. Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I witness you. I see you. I am Ethan Van Sciver. This is this is the biggest channel in Comicsgate. No matter how many people get more subscribers than me, it's still the biggest. Damn it. Welcome to the show. I am a 28-year veteran of the broken comic book industry, world's most charming, disarming, elegant, eloquent, and yet humble, because sometimes even I fumble. Man, great big Gina Carano fan and trusted member of the media. Welcome. Hello, Roger H. Hey, Ethan. My all caps beanie arrived yesterday. I was super impressed that it was couriered straight to my front door. Now that's customer service. Cheers. Did we do that? Did we have it couriered to your front door? We make no promises like that, but I'm glad that was done for you. Sarticon DM says, get Dale Keown on a stream already. Not a bad idea. I wouldn't mind having Dale on here. And we'll see how it goes. He's mostly right now. He's with you right now. He's in the audience. You can say hello, hello. Good to be with you. I was working, very, very busy today. And first of all, I made an announcement, which I don't know, man. It just felt good to say this. It felt good to let people know that we've been talking about this for a while, going back and forth about how to go around this, how to make this happen. But yesterday we kind of came to a pretty cool decision. First of all, your boy Zach, Richard C. Meyer, has been a really good friend to me for a long time, and also very inspirational in terms of publishing. I like what he does, and I'm proud of him. He's doing his own comics. He's having a good time. I love Jawbreakers. I think Jawbreakers Lost Souls was one of the most inspirational comics of my career, and I've had quite a few. But Jawbreakers Lost Souls was very inspirational because, well, I was watching somebody who had pretty good ideas about where the comic book industry should go, do it himself through crowdfunding. He hired the artist that we all like. Remember when he was calling John Malin that artist we all like? And put together a really, really great book. And it took the indie comic scene by storm. There were controversies attached to it, of course, but it was a great book. Jawbreakers Lost Souls was fantastic. And all of the, I think the second Jawbreakers was good. The third Jawbreakers is on its way. I got to say, I have a little publishing venture called All Caps Comics. Give me the Jawbreakers. So talking to Zach yesterday, I said, Zach, I'll publish everything you do. And he said, no. But he's like, I'll tell you what. He's like, because I got all that stuff started. He's like, I want to publish the stuff that I started. But Jawbreakers 4 hasn't been announced yet. It hasn't launched a crowdfund yet. So why don't we start there? And I said, great idea. Let's start there. But even still, if you want my help with the other stuff, I'm just a phone call away. All Caps Comics is publishing Jawbreakers 4, Jawbreakers Forever. Yes. That's what I wanted. I just wanted to publish Jawbreakers. Give this franchise to me, Zach. Give it here. Let me have this thing. Let me get it moving. Jawbreakers, to me, is everybody likes it. Everybody likes the characters. It could be as big as the Avengers, but it's going to require a single-minded focus. And I will focus on this with Zach. I will kind of figure out what we're going to do with the ongoing series, and then maybe break it down into solo adventures. I said we won't begin until Zach's all caught up with the other campaigns. That is something that is important. That everybody knows we're not going to launch another campaign until Zach's other campaigns are finished. But I anticipate that we're going to be able to do this year. I said, and then I'm looking forward to working with Zach and the very best artists available to us to make Jawbreakers into the Avengers of indie comics. Some people said Jawbreakers is more like G.I. Joe. Yeah, I agree. I mean, of course, it was influenced by G.I. Joe. Zach had this idea that a bunch of superheroes, costume superheroes, retired and then just became sort of mercs for hire. And those are the Jawbreakers. They still have their superpowers. They know what they're doing. To coin a phrase, they're the best there is at what they do. And these guys go after the biggest threats imaginable. That's the Jawbreakers. And I love that concept. I love that idea. I think it's awesome. But I would like to see some individual stories, some solo books, et cetera, et cetera. Jawbreakers should be like the Avengers in that way. The Avengers is one big, huge team-up book. When they get together, it's a huge event. But, you can read Iron Man. You can read Captain America. You can read, who else is in there? Who else is still in the Avengers? Mostly Thor, the Hulk, Scarlet Witch. I always go back to Jack Kirby's Avengers from the very start. Ant-Man. Why is there an Ant-Man? And my power fantasy is that I want to grow really small. I want to be able to shrink and be less of a man. I want to be a small little speck. I want to fight insects. Oh, wait. No, that's actually what my entire book is about. But in any case, we are going to we're going to bring Jawbreakers back roaring. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. What does this mean for Splato Comics? Nothing. He's going to Splato Comics is going to continue to publish the big hit comics that Zach launches, that he puts out himself. Iron Sights is still going to be through Splato. Impossible Stars, all the other books that he's doing. Splato is going to be. Somebody put it kind of nicely. They said, so All Caps Comics is going to be DC Comics and Splato is Vertigo. Yes, but not in that way. Not in the new Vertigo sense. In the classic Vertigo sense. A Red Blip says, you're doing fulfillment for so many campaigns now. And also drawing your own books. It seems like too much of a workload. Red Blip, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Not all of this falls on my manly broad shoulders. It's not just me. You see, we're making so much money for our business that we can hire people to do this. And that is the plan. We are going to hire people. We're even looking at a couple of comic skaters, making them full-time employees of All Caps Comics who help us to ship and fulfill campaigns. What are we going to do? It can't just all be me. This whole company can't grow if I have to do everything, and we're limited by what I personally can do. I will continue to draw Cyberfrog. I will continue to draw Rainbow the Brood. I'll continue to manage and structure this company. I will make those kinds of creative decisions. But yeah, we have to grow. This company needs to grow. Thinking a lot about actually hiring. Hiring real editors, thinking about hiring a ton of writers. I was having this conversation with Kelsey Shannon this morning, and I was just like, he's like, I said, look, when DC moved out west, I worked for DC Comics quite happily for 20 years. When DC Comics moved out west to LA, they left their New York office that was right across the street from David Letterman's studio. Not everybody went with them. And quite a few people who worked at DC Comics before, these are really talented, skilled comic book people. These are people who edit and create comic books, people who make things, who know how to do it. These people were left behind in New Jersey and New York. Some of them retired. Hi, you want to make some comics, guys? Do you want to get back into the trenches with me, your boy EVS, and make some good comics and start up an indie company? Look, here's the thing. This is what I've been doing all along. This has to grow naturally and organically. I watch these clowns make their indie companies all the time. They're all these new indie startups. They get investors. They have big ideas and big plans. And they just invent all these different comic books all at once and then just throw it against the wall and just hope something happens. That's not what we're doing here. We have the benefit of Indiegogo and crowdfunded comics. We have the benefit of market testing our books, of growing slowly, introducing new ideas. Some of those ideas succeed and we build on them. Others of those ideas don't work out and they disappear. We also have the market testing of individuals. Unfortunately, some comic skaters do great, flourish, prosper. Others vanish into shame and obscurity. That's just the way it is. That's what this was always meant to be. So the idea of letting Comic Skate grow, we have beta tested, even though it's alpha testing, because we're alphas. We have beta tested all of these products, all these projects, and all of these people. And we know what works. So, what are we doing? Cyberfrog works. Rainbow the Brute works. We know Starblades works. People want it. Where do you guys get it? Some of you are going to be getting Starblades today, and I want to see reviews. I want to see people talking about Starblades, telling me what you thought of the book. Very excited about that. We know that Jawbreakers works, and we know which creators people get excited to see. I'm very excited about doing this project, making it bigger, and making it more frequent, slightly more. I still want to do annuals, one a year, one Jawbreakers per year, but let's do 2 solo adventures a year, and let's get top talent to work on them. And when I say top talent, I mean top talent. That is what I'm going to do. I'm seeking out some creators who are not afraid, some non-pussies, people who know that the comic book industry is in real trouble, people who have finally acknowledged the truth, realize they have nothing left to lose, people who are working at Marvel right now, whose contracts are about to end, and who agree with us, who know that we're right, who are looking at our world like the Martians in what's that movie called? War of the Worlds. Like those Martians look upon Comicsgate with eyes filled with envy, knowing that we have creative freedom and we're doing fun stuff and we're making money, and they are enslaved by the corporations that are paying them peanuts. And it's about time that they go forward and do things on their own. Maybe perhaps also join up with us and our network. It's about time. It's about time that creators free themselves. I am here to take some of that burden off of your shoulders. I am here, to say, hey, you need a little head start. Let's get you on a little Cyberfrog short story. Let's do a cool story, bro. Why don't you draw this issue of Jawbreakers? And then we will get your book, your project off and running. We have to introduce you to our customer base and let them know who you are. I'm excited. This is indie comics. This is the future of indie comics. This is where we're going. So thank you to Zach for finally realizing that Jawbreakers belongs here. Think about this. We could do Jawbreakers, Starblades. We can do that crossover. Of course we can. We can make a shared universe if we want to. This is all the stuff that people want. This is the stuff people want from Comicsgate and these characters. Letting them be known, letting them interact with each other. More cool stuff, better quality books, top quality all the time. That's where we're going here. People approve. Let me see. Very best artist available to us. This guy's like, that's me. See, that's the kind of attitude that I want. Yeah. Are you the best artist? Let me know. Probably not. Donald, he might be. Donald DeLay. Yeah, look. Donald DeLay did some work recently with your boy Zach. He drew your boy Zach's Cool Story Bro story. So he's already a part of All Caps Comics. And Narwhal's excited about it. Nasser Rabati's excited about it. Jawbreakers Cyberfrog crossover when? I mean, it seems like it's going to happen right away. And Cecil, of course, has... Thank you, Cecil. That's wonderful. He said, yeah, boy, I don't have my audio on, so that didn't work quite right. Let me see. Any more questions here? People, why are you using the one from Lost Souls? It's just the most familiar image to me. I love that John Malin Lost Souls image. I love it. When I saw it, I was like, this is going to work. When I saw that John Malin image, I knew that this was going to work. Not just Jawbreakers, but all of Comicsgate. I knew it was going to work. John Malin's artwork is electric. John Malin is a genius. His work is often simple. John directs the eye to where it needs to go. John Malin's work seems alive. His characters look great. His stuff is big, exciting. His women are sexy. His men are tough. You got to get a little John Malin back on, and that's what I actually said. I said one of the things that I want to do here. I made a little list of what I want to do with Jawbreakers, like right away. One of the first things that I want to do is get new John Malin artwork for Jawbreakers. We've already got some great artists working on Jawbreakers 4. I want to get a Dale Keown cover. Obviously, we want to do that, and then we want to break it up into solo stories. So that's my huge announcement for right now. I want people to know that's where we're going, and thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a part of, Comicsgate. Oh, this side. Thank you for being a part of Comicsgate. And thank you for supporting All Caps Comics all along. All right, let me see. What do we got here? People are in the chat. Snarticon DM says Donnie Cates will apply at 1:30 a.m. live on stream. Well, you'd be welcome to apply. Christopher Blaylock Fine Art says, Sunbeam, back my art so I can back yours. Maybe not for your studio, but maybe for Andrea. What is your art, Christopher Vlaylock? Will Andrew like it? What is it? All Caps Comics is the new mainstream, says Nerdy Girl Creates. And SnarksCon DM says, oh, get Dale on a stream already. Yeah, well, we will do that. I'm sure that that's going to happen. Granty's Nut says, Hail E. All Caps Comics keeps attracting genuine talent. In time, they will join you in the sunbeam. It is inevitable. I like it. I like being a cult leader. Here's another Christopher Blaylock super chat, just $5. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Ethan is instigating a hostile takeover of Jawbreakers. Well, I wouldn't put it like that. It's not at all hostile. I see it for what it is. I told Zach a long time ago, I said, I want to make these toys. I want to make the Jawbreakers action figures. And we got started on one of them. One of the Jawbreakers action figures that I wanted to make Silkworm. And part of it was I want to make these things overly accessorized. I want them to have footlockers full of weapons, all kinds of guns. More accessories than a G.I. Joe toy. We want to go further. We want to make it better. We'll have like 4 head swap outs, with like all kinds of different variety. We'll have all kinds of weapons, all kinds of costume changes, all kinds of cool stuff. These action figures should be amazing, just amazing. We put one out at a time, and they are better than anything. They're better than anything you could get at Walmart or Target. I would say Toys R Us, but, rest in peace, Jeffrey the Giraffe. Good stuff. Get Dave Finch to publish you. I will tell you this. Get David Finch. David Finch is more than welcome. He could come over here anytime he wants. But I think Dave Finch is already planning his own thing. You're watching him do his own channel. You're watching him do his drawing stuff. He's doing great. The minute he decides to launch a crowdfund, he is going to make $1 million in a day. It's going to be incredible. Brad Frederick says, we're going to need more all caps, ball caps. It's getting real. Yeah, they're on the way. All caps, ball caps will be here July 6th. I have 300 more of them coming July 6th. They will be here. If we sell out of those, we'll restock again. That's what we're looking at right now. Cloud9 Ninja says, yo, EVS, are those counterfeit warts and all books you retweeted real? Got to make it North America, dude. Here's what happened. I believe what happened was the printer sent me what I ordered, and they kept the runoff stock and then decided to just sell the runoff stock. And that's in China. They thought we wouldn't see here in the United States. They thought they were safe from Uncle Sam. Well, they're not safe from Uncle Sam. We got eyes everywhere. We got people searching Cyberfrog, looking up everywhere on every eBay worldwide, and they will find you. There is nowhere that you could sell bootleg Cyberfrog that we won't find you. How do I feel about it? Like that. They're just selling the softcover trade paperback. That's what I saw. I saw one softcover trade paperback. It's not like I saw a million of them. I don't know how many they have. They're selling a couple softcover trade paperbacks. That's fine. If they were selling the executive edition, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, you made my fucking executive editions and you're selling them. Those are limited. China is asshole. And then I'd be, I'd probably say some things that would bring me even closer to cancelization. Deltaverse Comics says, I'm working hard to get myself ready to do some work for all caps. I'm a colorist and writer. Thank you and Zach for bringing me back to comics. And welcome. We're excited to have you in Comicsgate. D. Joe talking nerdy. Watch my pitch to Cecil, please. I want to be all caps. I think it's a great idea for a dark comedy superhero comic. You pitched it to Cecil. Cecil has first dibs. That's the thing. What the heck is going on with the Phantom Menace? 200 Watt Studio says, oh my God, guys. I am watching this with horror, shock and horror. I watched a whole big video today, and I won't name names, but it involved women, of course, ladies. And evidently, there is some fighting going on. And it involves some comment that someone made that they doubled down on, and then the community split up over not wanting to take responsibility for that comment. Here's the thing. When I say that I want to line Chinese people up and Tommy gun them, which I said once, it was a joke. I was just kidding. It was facetious. I was being sarcastic. wasn't real. And I didn't say that. I said I would never stop doing that, which implies that I started, and I never did. I didn't double and triple down on it. I just went, what are you going to say? You're talking all the time. Every now and then you might say some ill-considered things. And what I did was I warned you, I'm probably going to say some stupid shit, but I'm not going anywhere. Over the course of my career in communications and YouTube, I might say some stupid shit. In fact, I promise you that I will. Maybe twice, 3 times per day, I might say some things that are shocking and awful. I don't necessarily double down on them. I don't retract any of them necessarily. There's nothing I've said that I need to retract. I can just be a jerk sometimes. That's getting real with you. But in any case, that's what's going on right now. Who is embarrassed by what was said here by this person? Can we still appear on live streams and be commercially viable? Are the SJWs going to think that we are everything that they say we are if we're live streaming with this person? Do we need to reject them? And you can feel however you want to feel about that, Fandom Menace. If you want to do that, if you want to cancel people, you can. I certainly don't mind. Every now and then somebody will say something that I go, you're an imbecile. And I don't want to live stream with them anymore. So I completely understand that. It's your channel. It's your whole thing. But what's going on now is that there's a counter movement. Those people who are like, I don't want to stream with that person anymore, and their alliances, they are being attacked by the person who said it and their alliances, and they're trying to cancel certain individuals by using Me Too style cancel culture language to suggest dark things about certain individuals, when really it just seems that the individual in question is being canceled for being kind of a pussy and a ball buster. And that's what it comes down to. That's what the drama of the Fandom Menace is. Now, I feel like daddy. I feel like perhaps I should come in there and administer some spankings. Where is daddy's belt? I feel like I could, if I wanted to cause trouble, I could, if I wanted to, I could step in there and say, hey, knock it off. We don't use words like this. We don't use words like accountability. We don't do that. We don't say women are speaking in women's voices. And we don't talk like that. That's just not what we do. We're supposed to be un-PC. And also, it's YouTube. You can just not stream with people. That's what I do. I mean, there are certain people. Why do you think Cecil's not here anymore? Cecil's not here right now because I just couldn't be seen with him after he, what did Cecil do recently? I don't know. No, in fact, everybody's cool and we're very happy here right now. Anyway, that's what I would do, but I'm not going to do it. I'm just not. The Fandom Menace has to straighten itself out. You have good leaders over there. You have good leadership. People should be going, what I'm hearing right now sounds a little bit SJW. It sounds like we're using SJW tactics to cancel someone. We're using emotionally loaded words. We're not discussing what the real issues are. Why is Ray Fisher mad? Why is Ray Fisher mad at Warner Brothers and Joss Whedon? Did we ever find out? We never fucking found out. Ray Fisher used manipulative language that was racially charged. It was all about identity, and it was all about this and that in order to get a mob of people angry and on his side in order to affect the change that he was looking for. That is not what we need to do. That's not what we do here. We don't do that. If there's an issue, spell it out. What exactly happened? Without crying, what happened? Who did it? Let's talk it over. Is there any way we can fix it? If not, stay away from each other. That would be good. So that's what's going on with the Fandom Menace right now. GrimJim666 became a YouTube member. Thank you for joining. I appreciate you. Antonio Cardina says, Hail Caesar, where the heck are our cult hats? What cult hats? What do you want? What should I make you? There are some people who say they want fezzes. Get Sam Keith. I love David and his views. I like David too. I think David is not so far away from me. That's what I think. Fragaboom's here. He says, yeah, boy. Yeah. Hey, Dan. How you doing, pal? I miss Dan Fraga. I like it. Dan Fraga will call me up every now and then just to have a nice conversation. I really enjoy that. You know, Dan Fraga is a good guy. One of the nicest people in comics. You know what? If you have a problem with Dan Fraga, there's something wrong with you. I'm just going to put it that way. All right. So what is this live stream I'm doing right now? I got notified that there was a re-upload. Somebody re-uploaded an old interview with Jeff Johns from 2009. That was when we started this little book right here, Flash Rebirth. And I just thought, wow, I think I'm going to watch that and reminisce a little bit and talk about it. I've never seen this interview before. And I figured, why be selfish? Why watch it on my own when I can watch it with you? Geekopedia, what geeks you? Says, I know you want to bring in the big guns, but will you take new talent as well? Yes, of course. You know, we take new talent all the time, but All Caps Comics is not a training ground for people. That's what I want you to understand. All Caps Comics is no training ground. We want the best of the best. Kyle Ritter never worked. Well, did he work? I'm not sure if Kyle Ritter worked in maybe he did work a little bit in the mainstream, but still he was pretty much new and unknown. But he is so incredibly talented. It would be silly not to hire him. That's the kind of talent we're looking for. Are you as good as Kyle Ritter? Are you as good as Dale Keown? Are you as good as, well, you can't be as good as John Malin. But you know, those are the standards. Until then, you know, when you're at that point, let me know. Until then, we want to make it possible for you here in this community that we built. I hate the word community because it implies that there's like, you know, it's like there are rules here. We have community guidelines. We don't. We like each other mostly. We try to support each other. And the idea is to build up indie comics and make it sort of fun and possible. Make it so that, you know, no social justice warriors can cancel you. You're allowed to be a little un-PC here. If you're un-PC, that's cool. You're allowed to be. There are no standards that say that you don't have to be that you have to be PC in any way. Of course, if you're super un-PC, other people might not want to stream with you on a live stream. That's on you. But you are welcome to be here. You're welcome to be part of Comicsgate. It's about creative freedom. And it is about getting to make comics, which is all anybody ever wants. All we ever wanted from the beginning was just to make our own comics. So welcome. Snarticon DM, will you give Sketch a book to write on? A book to write on? Sure. Sure. Absolutely. What would he need a book to write on for? Let me see what you guys are saying here. There should be gatekeeping guidelines to keep any infiltrating bad actors out, or the same thing will happen again, just like you did with the mainstream. You guys are the gatekeepers. How do you like that? I'm the gatekeeper of this channel. I don't want any SJWs on here. I've already decided who I like to stream with. I like John Malin. I like Cecil. You know, I like Dan Fraga. I like Shane Davis. I have friends. I like Anna. These are people that I like to stream with. Kelsey Shannon. So you'll see them repetitively on my channel. And I kind of am close about letting other people on this channel now. That's me gatekeeping my little world here, my little business. When it comes to Comicsgate is gatekept by you. Presumably, if you are Comicsgate, you are sick and tired of being lectured by far left radical lunatics who want you to pay for the privilege of reading a superhero story that's secretly a political pamphlet. They're looking for social change, and they want you to pay for it. They want you to pay for their really weird and bizarre views. That's what they're looking for right now. If you're against that, you're Comicsgate. If you're against that, why would you buy something accidentally? Why would SJWs be in Comicsgate? Just doesn't seem possible. It seems like the fact that your wallets would be closed to them would keep them out. I can't do it myself. I can't. I'm too busy. My job is All Caps Comics, which I gatekeep viciously. As you can see, All Caps Comics consists of Cyberfrog, Rainbow the Brute, Star Blades, Trent Kanuga's Creed, Matt Martin's Snowman, and now Jawbreakers by your boy Zach. That's pretty good gatekeeping. It's a gated community. See your way the fuck out if you're an SJW. Let me see here. Versace. This is a gated community. Get the fuck off my property. B. Ewing says, can you offer some kid-size shirts? I really want to get my 5-year-old some of the new shirts coming out. He loves that Keon Salamandroid. Yeah, okay, I will. Extra small is pretty good for kids, for a 5-year-old. Ava runs around. Ava went to school in a Cyberfrog t-shirt yesterday. It was awesome. And I think it was an extra small. But I'll see what I can do about kid-size shirts. Everything's minimum order quantity. So if I order kid shirts, I have to order a bunch of kid shirts and then hope there are a bunch of parents who want their kids wearing Salamandroid shirts, which I'm sure there are. But I'll do my best. Ali Munoz, totally agree with hiring the best of the best. Is there certain genres you might be looking for to round out the onlines of the all caps lineup? No, there isn't. There's no particular genre. I'm looking at creative people. Look, get out there and rock and roll. I'm not taking submissions. Don't send me submissions. I'll find you. You're doing great stuff out there. You're doing amazing stuff. I will find you. Don't you worry. Let me see. We got a $50 super chat from Clay Dicer. You got to be kidding me. Somebody sent me $50 today. This is great. Clay Dicer says, hail CG brethren. That sounds familiar. Says, thanks, E, for member cards. My brother-in-law, awesome human being, launched passion project on Indiegogo, Earth, an alternate Earth fantasy comic book. Let me see if I can find the original. Here it is. Let me just show this to you guys. All right. It's called Earth, an alternate Earth fantasy comic book. He's determined to get it out, print profitable or not. Foil cover at $5,000. Please check it out. All right. So that's Indiegogo, Earth, an alternate Earth fantasy comic book. I will look at it in private. Here's the worst thing that I can do. What if I look at it and I don't like it? And then I make this face. Oh, yeah. And then, like, I've hurt you. So let me look at it and see if I want to promote it. But thank you very much for this. And, I appreciate the big super chat. I appreciate you getting out there and promoting your brother-in-law's comic, Clay. Good luck to him and good luck to you. Let me see here. Yeah. Caffeinated Wolf says, Uncle E, I'd sincerely encourage you to reach out to the ladies in question. This is not a cancel culture situation. Now finish my frog book. I don't want to. Can I not? Can I stay out of it? In general, I don't want to. I don't want to get involved. Looking hella skinny E, says Alan Rogers. I'm fatter than ever. Look, it's summertime. This coming week we're opening the pool, which means live streams by the pool. It means Jack and Coke by the pool. Me in sunglasses floating around in the swimming pool like unflushable human shit. Well, you've seen like Tony Soprano. That's what we're looking for. That's the image that I want to put in your heads. That's all coming up. And I need to be fat in order to present that image. And I told Andrea that. I said, I've got an image to protect here. So that is fatness. Let me see here. Alan Rogers says, psych. Oh. You're just kidding when you call me skinny. Looking fatter than ever. Looking fatter than ever there. Okay. All right. I got it. You're right about that. We're on the same page. That's what I mean to say. Let's see. Earth Mind says, you skipped my first super chat. I'll go back and get it in a minute. We should get into the show. We should get into the whole show here. Eric McIntyre says, I really like the direction All Caps is going. Would you also consider releasing All Caps back issues on newsprint, not on Indiegogo, possibly through Alterna? No. We want the comics to be beautiful collectibles. Eventually, we will release trade paperback collections that'll be a little bit less expensive. And even more eventually, we will make digital versions of them for people who just want to read them. But not until the creators get paid the most money they possibly can. If you work for me, you're not working for me. If you're being published by me, there's nobody really working for me except for Kyle. you are going to make the most possible money that you make in comics, that you can make in comics right now. That's a guarantee. Ask Kyle Ritter. Ask Dale Keown. Ask Jay Lee. If you work for me, you will make the most possible money that you can in comics. If you're being published by me, you will make the most possible money that you can in crowdfunding, because I'm going to promote you. And I'm going to fulfill your book. And I'm going to take a percentage. I'm finally going to pay myself for the work that I do. How do you like that? Battle Him 63 is a YouTube member. Thank you so much for being here. Matt Becker says, admit I'm funny. Looking. That was mean. That was really mean. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize for that. Let me issue an apology. Get us John Burns. So Shane Zelinsky. I wish I could. I'm a big fan, but I don't think he likes me very much. A smart ass. Rhino4563. Wow, for $20 says, hey, E, don't you think it's odd that Zack Snyder said in an interview that he had no problems using the toxic fan base to raise money for charity? I took that as Geeks and Gamers. And none of Geeks and Gamers has responded. My 2 cents. I didn't notice that. I didn't see him say that. Yeah. But anyway, okay. Yes, I do think they should respond to everything Zack Snyder says. Part of being a YouTuber and an active YouTuber in the Fandom Menace is to respond to stuff. You know, you see these articles out there, you see people from Disney, people from Warner Brothers saying things, and you should definitely respond. Oh, let me just finish this off before we get into I got a water bottle here. Before we get into anything, I got a really good message from someone, a nice text that explained what happened with the Joss Whedon versus Zack Snyder, Ray Fisher thing. Somebody who's in the know. And it's pretty cool because it confirms a lot of what I thought. Says this is what he texted me. But yeah, man, from talking to Joss, it sounded like that Ray Fisher guy was all buddy-buddy with him until he found out that Joss was cutting his character down in a huge way. That movie was going to be his big break. And so if you have all that build up in your mind and then some new director takes over the project and basically cuts you out of it, I can see why he'd harbor resentment. The real story on Justice League was that Warner Brothers were dying to get rid of Zack Snyder because he was handing in a dreary, dark cut of Justice League that was way too long, basically the Snyder cut that is out now, when Snyder's daughter committed suicide. That guy, Walter Hamada, immediately pushed him off the project. Apparently, the studio was kind of conspiring to hijack the movie from Snyder anyway, and used his recent tragedy as a way to push him out of the door. Snyder talked to Joss on the phone about the internal problems, studio backstabbing that was going on Justice League before the reins were officially handed off. I think that Snyder thought that Joss was going to do a little touch-up here and there, some minor recutting, and then was shocked to see a completely different movie get released. I don't know why Joss works with these fucking massive budget comic book movies. He's always done better work on his own original material. Whenever he's done a big comic book movie, he ends up completely miserable and exhausted by the end of it. He was a walking corpse after the first Avengers and swore to me he'd never do another Marvel movie again. I guess he never learns his lesson. Maybe this time he did. Fucking awesome guy. He's the most normal, no-ego billionaire director you'll ever meet. Okay, so that is from a friend of Joss Whedon's. And that is, I think that's pretty close to what I assumed happened, what we had kind of worked out happened, and kind of paints Ray Fisher in not the best of lights. No, it is not BS Doomcock rumors. That is legit. Are you saying his rumors are BS or this? This is, trust me, this is legit. Hold on, let me open this water bottle here. All right. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's watch this video here. Again, Nolan Nerd says, I am working, wanted to say have a glorious day. Thank you. So far, I am. Got some big super chats today. We're off to a good start. We're going to watch this video that is called I Fanboy number 116. And it is an interview with the great Geoff Johns from 2009. I have not seen this, and I'm looking forward to watching it. I guess he's. Hold on a second. Let me see what this says here. Originally released April 8th, 2009. And this is Geoff doing a Q&A panel at Jim Hanley's Universe, which is a big comic shop, to celebrate the release of Flash Rebirth. And he took some questions from Josh as well as the audience. He covers everything from his approach to creating comics, how he got to start working with Richard Donner, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let me see. This is going to make me nostalgic. I like Geoff. I like Geoff even more that he's being canceled by these monsters. It makes me feel bad for him. Here we go. Geoff Johns in quotes.
I am Josh Flanagan from ifanboy.com, and of course, man of the hour, Geoff Johns is here.
I see black people in that audience. So already we've disproved this whole thing. Vol Cobalt says Havoc has broken 80% funding within its first week on Indiegogo. Thanks to all, and check it out if you haven't. Yeah, absolutely do. All right.
It's a big day for you. This is the day that Flash Rebirth comes out.
Yep.
You're rebirthing yet again.
Yeah. My second child.
Yeah. So talk to me a little about what you thought of where you think the state of the Flash in the whole universe is right now, and where you want to take it going forward with this.
The state of the universe right now, well, I think it's been a little bit, the last few years have been a little bit this way, that way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is Mark Waid's version of the Flash. Geoff is being nice. He's basically, the Flash is ruined. The franchise has been ruined by idiots like Mark Waid. That's what Geoff wants to say here, but he's not saying it. He's saying they go this way and that way. If it wasn't for the fact that Mark Waid bollocksed up the Flash and made it an impenetrably awful comic, we wouldn't have been able to do Flash Rebirth. It's like DC didn't want to have to bring Barry Allen back. They thought that was a drastic move, but Mark Waid fucked up so bad, that DC realized it was the only thing that they could do. It was their only hope was to turn to me and Geoff.
Left and right turns, and I'm looking to kind of plow ahead a straight road, and bringing the whole universe back up in a similar fashion to Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
But very differently, as Barry's more like a wrench thrown in an engine that works pretty well.
Right.
That's kind of what the series is about.
Since most people, but a lot of people reading comics now have never actually had Barry as their Flash. I mean, it's been 20, 30 years.
You know what's great is now everybody has. Everybody said that. They said, nobody remembers Barry Allen. You don't want to bring him back. Now Flash is Barry Allen. The TV show has cemented that, and that all started here. That all started with Flash Rebirth.
Since Barry Allen was actually the Flash, how much did you know about him? How did you approach him as being different than Wally?
I mean, I really grew up with Wally, the Wally series, but I had gone back and read all the Barry stuff and collected all that stuff when I was first getting into comics. But Barry Allen's very much a blank slate. He didn't get kind of the modern age storytelling that a lot of the other heroes did. Even Hal Jordan.
He's got it's a flash ring. He's got a flash ring on the microphone there. Yeah, that looks like one of the Flash compartment rings.
Mm-hmm. That redefined his character. Batman Year One, Man of Steel, George Perez's Wonder Woman, Flash. Barry Allen never got that. Mm-hmm. So part of Rebirth is going back.
Look how good I am. Yeah, you just show my artwork, even with those awful garish fluorescent colors on them. I remember being very disappointed with the color palette of this first issue. But good Lord, I'm awesome. Really am great. That's what Barry Allen is meant to look like. All-American hero. You don't see too many of these anymore. Oh my God, it's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white male. And he's the most important Flash in history. We must change that. We got to change that.
Back into his past and seeing who he was before he got hit by lightning, what drove him to a life of forensic science, why does he have a passion for justice, where the hell the bow tie, what was it with a bow tie, because nobody should wear a bow tie. And
yeah, I am fantastic. Just take a minute to absorb my incredible artwork. Now, here's the worst thing about this book. The worst thing about this book was that I drew Senator Joseph R. McCarthy, from Appleton, Wisconsin, feared commie fighter. I drew him walking in the background of the museum, holding a briefcase with a list of names. And DC Comics didn't like that, and they put a word balloon over his fucking face. Hold on, let me see if I can find that. That still disturbs me to this day. How come I wasn't allowed? Why was I being censored? Think about this for a minute. Why was I being censored and I was not allowed to draw Senator Joseph R. McCarthy there he is. Hold on, let me turn this off for 1 minute. And you'll see what I mean. And I think this is going to shock, it's going to upset most of you, but I want you to stay calm about it. Don't worry. Who's that there? Who is that there with a word balloon over his mouth? It says, "You kidding, Hal?" That's Senator Joseph McCarthy. And you censored me by putting you could have put the word balloon right on his belly. But instead, I mean, look at him. He's a commie hunter. He's got an enormous list of names. He's got an incredible list of names there of communists all around him. And I will say, maybe I was politically, maybe I was being politically censored. I don't know. You tell me what you think. Senator Joseph McCarthy was a hero. People should have listened to him. That is true. All right, here we go. Back to the show here. See what Jeff has to say about it.
And just getting into all the minutia and the bigger things of who this guy really was, because all we know is he was this big hero that sacrificed himself. We hear about it all the time. He's a saint of the DC universe. But was he, he was still a human. He was still a guy. And so part of Rebirth is peeling back those layers and seeing the man behind the mask.
So who is he? I mean, how would you describe Barry as opposed to Wally?
At first, he's very focused on. He has a very strong sense of justice. He'll tell Wally.
Look at my flash. Again, you cannot even compare me to anyone else. Look at all the after images as Barry cannot even sit still. He's always moving. So you can see he's vibrating there. He's looking all around. He's getting stuff done, even as he has a conversation with Hal Jordan. Just amazing artwork.
We actually let the Rogues, they were kind of like friends, or he doesn't understand. Like, the Rogues told you they respected me. Like, that's the biggest, biggest bunch of BS in the world. But he has a really hard. These guys are scumbags. They're murderers. His line of good and bad is very solid. It doesn't blur. And that's something that Barry has, just a very kind of almost archaic sense of justice. And it comes from him being a forensic scientist. The fact is, you're guilty or you're not guilty, which is it? There is no in between to him. And that's something that I'll be exploring a lot with Barry. And then the other side of it is his intensity. When he focuses on getting something done, he's extremely focused. And we pick him up in a weird place, is where he feels every second matters. He can never be late again. And that's kind of his motto.
That's his
right
thing, because
now.
he was always late for everything.
He can never be late again. This isn't a game. Time's going to run out again. But
just incredible artwork by me. Incredible artwork.
Before him back, and he feels like there's something wrong. There's something amiss on his return.
I mean, does he? Right now, he doesn't sound like he's a lot of fun.
He's not.
He's no fun.
No. Well, he's a very I think he's a very intriguing character right now. But he's a little standoffish on everybody. He's not a man out of his time, but he has a man who thinks that things have passed him, and he's trying to find his way. And I think the story of Rebirth is really the rebirth of his humanity more than. It's
the rebirth of his Republican politics. Now, again, what Jeff is trying to say here is that Barry Allen has a sense of justice. You either broke the law or you didn't. Jeff and I got to work on the two Republican superheroes in the DC. There are many more, but I mean, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, Republican. Barry Allen, Republican. Just a fact. It is a fact, and DC will acknowledge that. That's why I love him so much. Hades Soul, thank you for becoming a new member. Meredith G says, Comicsgate is not a community. It's a loose professional network. What is this? Hold on 1 second here. Let me mute. Let me mute this. It sure is a beautiful day. Oh my goodness. So you've got Salamandroid Color Zine, you've got Amphibionics 2, you've got 3 skids of those, and you want to deliver them to my house? Okay, so that is the delivery truck coming to drop off a ton of more comic books for you guys on Monday. I'm very excited about that. And now let me call Andrea real quick because she just called me, and I will be right with you. 1 second. Okay, we're back. Now, here's the situation. We sent a package to a customer in England, and it got through. So that is what Andrea wanted to say. Okay, all right, let's go. That's good news. That's good news. Despite the VAT situation, we sent a couple of packages out, and at least one got through. We know that because the customer in question is complaining that the hoodie is too big on him. That's right. You know who you are. That's okay. We'll take care of you. We love you. On we go with the Jeff Johns Show. And sorry for that. My phone rang twice. I'm not going to pick up again.
The rebirth of his actual physical form.
So, I think the character, you've been associated with a lot of characters, more recently Green Lantern, but the Flash to me is the character I think that most gets associated with your name when I hear it, because of sort of you came up with the Flash, I guess, in a way. You know, like you're building up Wally during that time, and that's where a lot of people got to know you and that kind of thing. How does it feel to come back to that world so heavily? I mean, did you feel like you were done with it before, and now there's another way to get in it?
I never was. I remember when I first left the book, the Flash is my favorite character. It always has been. When I first left the book, I was very happy with how things went overall. I thought it turned out pretty good. But there's certain things I wanted to do, and with Barry Allen coming back, it's a totally different character than Wally West, but a character set in the same kind of universe and playing off of, instead of a guy who's filling in someone's boots, is a guy who's dealing with speed.
Look how good my artwork is. Look at Beast Boy having a sandwich there.
The Rogues back.
Everybody's eating in my comics.
Central City, like I'm going to be really focusing on. We get a sense of what Central City was. Iris, we'll go
Why?
Iris Allen, and
look at that kid's musculature.
It was a little bit like coming home, and trying to kind of figure out how I could.
I draw old boomers. I draw food better than anyone. Let me just take a minute to say, that is a scrumptious pile of hot dogs. You know, that looks like Andrea feeding me. Look at the watermelon slices, big bowl of salad, nice pitcher of lemonade, a little bowl of whipped cream with a blueberry cake. Looks like an American flag. Yeah, you got to draw what you love.
I did it. I was kind of playing in a single room and just playing around, and now I can rebuild the house, so to speak.
Do you think you're I mean, are you better at this now? Like coming back to it now, do you feel like, well, no, I mean, I think so, but like when you come into it, do you feel like you're more self-confident than when you were originally building up the sort of Flash family?
Well, if I didn't think I couldn't do it better than I did, I wouldn't have come back. I think I look at all the work I've done, the stuff that I think turned out really well, the stuff I didn't think didn't turn out really well, and trying to figure out what my strengths are and what my weaknesses are, and trying to learn and grow and as far as craft.
I'm surprised you know what a salad looks like. Of course I do.
I hope this is better than my first issue of Flash.
I would. Yeah, it is.
I think so.
I read it. It's good. Now you're working with Ethan Van Sciver on this.
Oh,
I've
shit.
heard him talk on podcasts and interviews and things about, like, when you guys work together, it gets very intense. And I think he said, like, last time you had to take some time. You had to take some time away from each other. Like, so how does that process work? Are you guys very collaborative about it?
Yeah, we're really collaborative, and we get kind of manic. I'm a little bit manic already about this stuff. I immerse myself a bit. I'm in New York right now just because we're doing Blackest Night, and I wanted to kind of completely block out everything else in my life except for Blackest Night. It makes me a little crazy. But the same thing.
You're like a method actor.
Yeah.
No, that's because we cared. That's because when we were working together, we cared about what we were doing. You know, it's like, we're bringing back Barry Allen. Let's not shit this up with a bunch of personal politics and bullshit. Let's actually try to make something good. And so, yeah, like we were crazy. We'd be talking about whatever, whenever an idea would come up, didn't matter the time of day. You know, we'd be on the phone working it through, talking it out, trying to make it work. I don't know if people work like, I don't know if people care about comics like this anymore. You know, I genuinely did. I genuinely cared about what I was doing all the time. You know, it's important.
And it's a little strange. But with Flash, it was immersing myself in this. And Ethan, whenever I get together with Ethan, we crack our brains open when we talk about this stuff. And there's so much subversive. Like Ethan puts in a whole other layer of art on top of the actual art on the page. Right. And that won't make a lot of sense, I think, unless you look at the books. Like Green Lantern Rebirth, there's so many things that the reader will never, ever see, but that are there. There's this one great panel on Rebirth where the first time Hal, as Spectre, kills or takes Black Hand's hand away, which was, set up for Blackest Night, takes the Black Hand's hand away. You see his hood over, but his hand is actually Parallax's hand. And it's the first hint that there's something different. But Ethan's always putting in these hints of storylines. Actually, everything about the entire story is in issue 1 if you get a magnifying glass out and kind of decode it.
And how much of that stuff do you write in there? Do you plan it with him? Do you collaborators?
Well, a lot of it's collaborated, but he will add there's certain details he just comes up with. There's one on this cover that he did that I I couldn't believe he did, but it was pretty
On the
cool.
cover.
Yeah.
All right.
I hit a penis
and
in
it won't
there.
make any sense until the series is over. But he just he's a genius on a very bizarre level.
All right, that's got to go on. That's got to go on the cover of Cyberfrog 2. He's a genius on a very bizarre level. Jeff Johns, quote unquote, Jeff Johns. How is it bizarre that I'm a genius? It's not weird. How is it weird? Bizarre level, genius on a bizarre level.
All right. Do you guys? I mean, do you clash a lot on ideas until you come up with something that you both really like, or no?
No, we just explore every avenue, and we kind of talk very esoteric, and we get really ambitious with our ideas, and probably sometimes too ambitious, and then we have to, well, what's it mean? And I keep focusing on character because I like to ground my things in character. The scope can be gigantic. We can have an emotional spectrum, but if there's not a guy that's dealing with this, then it doesn't matter.
So if you're approaching a book for the first time, then you know, like, I'm going to do the Flash Rebirth. It's going to be the return of Barry Allen, how that works in the universe. Where do you start, I guess? What comes first for you? Or do you start thinking about the goals you have in mind, or do you start coming up with stories immediately?
I think about the character first, who Barry Allen is. For this one, it was a very important. Hal Jordan, there's some of his backstory was already really set in stone, but Barry Allen, I thought more about who he is, where he's coming from, and why he is the way he is before attacking the story. And then also thinking, well, there's a lot of things. It's a controversial return. That's I think first and foremost, very controversial return. So this rebirth had to be almost the exact opposite of Green Lantern Rebirth, where it was a controversial.
This is where we disagreed. I remember, we had a real tough time here because I was saying Flash Rebirth should be exactly like Green Lantern Rebirth. It should broaden out the entire Flash family. And Jeff said, no, it shouldn't. It should be the opposite of that. The Flash family should contract into just Barry Allen, and it should just be the story of one Flash. It should be smaller. Green Lantern was about the Green Lantern Rebirth, and everything that we did subsequently grew the Green Lantern story, But Jeff said, no, I just want it to be about Barry. And that was frustrating for me because I wanted to do more about the Thawne family, and this kind of Hatfield versus the McCoys of the Speed Force kind of thing. That still festers like that. That is still the fact that didn't get made bothers me. That might be looking back at like my career at DC Comics, the fact that we never introduced Eobard Thawne's daughter, Mara, with her chainsaws really bothers me. Marathon. Come on. Why didn't we do that? Just unfinished. I think that bothers me more than even composites. So I don't know.
Death, it's just making Hal Jordan parallax and then killing him. So Barry Allen's death is by all accounts one of the greatest deaths in comics. So very controversial to bring him back. So the book has to be counter culture to that. It has to be Barry Allen returning is a bad thing for the Flash universe and exploring. Well, is it? Why? What's he mean to these characters? How does he react? And then building that story from there, and everything kind of falls into place from there. And I have very strong opinions on what I think.
Those are not well-drawn nipples. I will say that. Let me just be critical of myself. I could have done better. Those nipples don't look real. I don't like drawing man nipples. When I have to draw them, I draw them real quick with my eyes closed because I don't want to fucking do it. I don't want to tickle a male nipple, even if it's fake and I'm drawing it. I don't want to do it. So I will say, just to be critical of myself, not happy with that nipple in retrospect, and I probably should have spent a little bit more time on it. Maybe put some hairs coming out of it too.
Will work best for each one of these characters and where I'm going to take them, but it really it comes down to character. It comes down to who Barry Allen is.
Terrible colors.
Just like with Green Lantern Rebirth, you strip it all away. You rip it all away.
Imagine this colored by Kyle Ritter now. And Kyle was around back then, I believe. I think Kyle was around. And I imagine like Kyle nowadays with what Kyle could do coloring this. And you look at just how I remember like this book being like, when I saw the colors, I was like, this bites. It's Jim Lee's colorist. This bites. It's ugly. I had to get someone else. I think we got hi-fi coloring, after that.
Wait, it's just about a guy overcoming fear.
Well, to me, I think that you're I don't want to kiss your ass completely, but your greatest talent to me seems to be that
Yes,
you're
he
really
does.
able to take these extremely complicated sort of concepts, all this continuity and all this stuff, and you're really good at boiling it down to like the very essential nature. And even reading The Flash Rebirth today, like right away within the first 4 or 5 pages, you told me exactly who Barry Allen was, what was going on, behind him and all that stuff. It was really simple. Is that something you really think about a lot, or does that come naturally to you?
Some of it comes naturally to me. If I can't communicate easily who the character is, and why,
So looking at this, again, I want to put this in your head, as we go forward. I told you who Geoff Johns was, and the idea that like Ray Fisher and his whole contingency are out there calling Geoff a racist, saying that Geoff bullied them, bullied him and all this stuff. I want you to really look at who Geoff is, how he communicates, the type of person he seems to be, right? Like he's really in his head. He's thought about these characters pretty intensely, and he's very direct about how he feels about them, and confident, self-confident. He's not really the type of person that would sit there and ridicule Ray Fisher like I would. I would ridicule Ray Fisher. Geoff wouldn't. Geoff would just be very direct with him and just say, look, man, it's like this is what the studio wants, and you really don't want to be at odds with the studio if you want to work for Warner Brothers anymore. And that's kind of probably how Geoff, directly spoke to him man to man. And you can't do that with these Hollywood pussies. You can't. You just can't be man to man and discuss something openly. You have to worry about whether or not, they're social justice warriors who are going to take that to the internet and misconstrue it deliberately. I don't know, man. I look at this. First of all, I like Geoff Johns. I really enjoyed working with him. This is a big dose of nostalgia. I love hearing him talk about his ideas. I love hearing him call me a genius. Of course I am. He recognized it. It's just like, it's a shame. It's a shame that this happened. It's like the world has changed. 2009, we could sit there and create something like this. Social justice wasn't even a concern. It was just about who is Barry Allen? Who are the Flashes? What are we going to do with this story to bring him back and merge him into the DC universe? This was it. This was the last hurrah of comics.
why the character is the way they are, then I have a problem.
Yeah.
I just believe that.
Holy shit, this is good.
If I'm telling a story and you don't know.
Look, again, ruined by colors. I might have been, had I stuck with the Flash, which I did not. I didn't stick with the Flash. I might have been the greatest Flash artist of all time. I just didn't do it. I just went back to Green Lantern again. Look at Barry Allen opening his ring, popping that costume out. The costume flies around him as though it were alive, but it's not. It's an after image of Barry grabbing the costume and getting into the costume, pulling the boots on his feet.
Not telling a story about a character. The character's not true.
Look at this.
Right.
Landing, pulling the mask down, underlit, and then zoom, boom, racing, boom, right past Hal Jordan in the next panel. Colored like shit. Colored like my child got into my airbrush. Fucking ruined it. And here's the thing. Give this to Kyle Ritter. Oh, God, is that frustrating. I had this thing where I did all these different kind of techniques to show what running fast looks like. And it was a lot of elongated Flash, to sort of make him look like a blur, and stuff like that. But again, multiple images and everything like that just become one kind of snake-like shape. I did have fun with it. I mean, when Geoff talks about mania, Geoff was saying we were manic. Geoff meant me. I thought about this stuff intensely and would sit there and call Jeff and just be like, look at this, look what I'm going to do. Here's an idea. And you know, when you are creatively motivated to do something, when you're having fun and when you believe in something, you know, you can't stop talking about it. You can't stop thinking about it. And I wish that I could talk to someone about Cyberfrog the way that I used to talk to Jeff about Flash. I can't. I can't tell. It's all spoilers. I tell you guys some stuff, but you know, working completely by myself means there's no soundboard. You know, it's like, is it soundboard or springboard? There's nobody to sit there and talk this stuff through with. It's got to be, you know, Andrea. Andrea has to listen to it. You know, I don't know. This is what creative inspiration is like. And this is what, when I talk about having an angel on my shoulder, and just the angels whisper and give you ideas and give you images and just keep you excited and moved by what you're doing. I mean, this is what that means.
Barry Allen, unlike Al Jordan again, Barry Allen is somebody that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people just know him as the guy who died. And so it's my job to rebuild him and also explain who he is, but in a way that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
You know, everyone needs more time. I'm sure everybody's like, God, this thing's taking forever to download. Everyone's on Twitter, like, so you can tell your friend, 2,000 of your friends at the same time what you're having for lunch. And, I'm sure everyone's got email on their email on their cell phones now. I do. And everything's about speed. We all want to get faster. Cars are moving faster. I got to get to work faster. I don't have enough time for this. I don't know how many people say I don't have enough time, but I think we probably say it once a day.
Yeah.
I don't have enough time. I don't have time. And that's something I want to explore.
See that? I mean, guys, people who are writers, who are Comicsgate writers, listen to what Jeff is saying here and listen to how Jeff is trying to take this old, creaky DC hero and make him sort of fit into today's world. Like Jeff's theme, what he's thinking is, hey, today people cram so much into their day. They get so much more done. Nobody feels like they have time for anything, et cetera, et cetera. And here's Barry Allen, a man out of the 60s, a man who is the fastest man alive, and still the world has sped up all around him. That's a great theme for doing a comic book. Think through what you're creating and try to find something like that that is relatable. That you can put across. That's my theme. That's the subtext of what this story is all about. Jeff was always really, really good about that. I'd always say, yeah, but what about the tits? Like, what about tits?
With somebody who can move this fast and still doesn't have enough time, because there will never be enough time. Time doesn't stop. That means there will never be enough time.
How do you deal with the pressure for a project like this, in that expectations for this book, expectations for The Blackest Night are all really high? I mean, you're sort of cresting on a wave here where, like, you've had excellent book after excellent book. You just redid the origin of Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
In really, pretty spectacular fashion. Like, do you think about that stuff, or do you try to stay off the message boards?
There's always pressure, but when you're working in continuity, there's a lot less pressure. If I wanted,
the crest of the wave, Flash, Rebirth, Blackest Night, 2 projects that, I conceived of with Jeff. I was Jeff's greatest collaborator, not the best artist to work with him. I think Gary Frank might have that. Ivan Rice is great. But these are artists. I don't know if they're collaborators. I would get involved in this stuff and shape events that were exciting. I want you to understand that, like, I'm going to be doing this with your boy Zach. It's like Zach's got something with Jawbreakers, and I'm not sure he understands how great what he has is. But I'm going to treat Jawbreakers with every bit of respect and care as I treated The Flash and Green Lantern and all of this stuff with Geoff Johns. Zach is going to be this kind of a collaborator. We're going to talk it through. We're going to come up with something that's great, that appeals to the largest number of people possible. Those of you who are new, who just stepped in, I made the announcement earlier. All Caps Comics is publishing Jawbreakers #4, Jawbreakers Forever, with your boy Zach, and it's going to be fun.
If I wanted to, I could just go do a Elseworlds about a Flash story, but I like challenges. I remember when Mike McCone and I did Teen Titans, and Mike McCone left Exiles, and people said, "Oh, where are you going?" He says, "I'm going to go relaunch Teen Titans," and they said, "That's deadly. Your career's over." They said the same thing to me because they'd relaunched it so many times, and I think we did okay. And then Booster Gold, I remember when I was like doing Action Comics with Adam Kubert and Gary Frank and Green Lantern with Ivan Reis. I said, "I'm going to do Booster Gold." And everyone said I was crazy. They said, "Well, you finally done it, Johns. This is the book that's going to destroy your career." But it
didn't, because here I am. Nobody remembers your Booster Gold run. What do they say? They say Flash. They say Green Lantern. They say Blackest Night. Sinestro.
I don't think I would have ever done Hal Jordan Green Lantern Rebirth, or I wouldn't have followed Mark Waid on the Flash if I was worried about that.
So you see that challenge, you say, bring it on.
Just bring it on. Like, I'd rather try than not try.
Right.
I'd rather be ambitious and try and tell a story I believe in, or a project that I think is going to be a great challenge. I kind of thrive on challenge.
Yeah.
So,
now, you say that there are seeds for Blackest Night from all the way back into Rebirth, and so how far ahead are you planning? When did you start planning Blackest Night? Like, when does that start? And
well, the seeds are in Rebirth. I mean, obviously, the idea wasn't completely formulated when I first got on Green Lantern, but it grew organically as I moved forward. But it was started pretty early on. Just like Sinestro Corps actually started pretty early on.
Yeah.
I just plot far ahead in my monthly books. I just looked.
I mean, you must have been like 6-7 years out.
I was probably about 4 years out.
Right.
But it's not that hard. Like, you have all these ideas and you just write them down and go, "Oh, that's going to take 50 issues."
Right.
Okay. And then you just start to build, and everything will change and grow. But I just like to plot long form, as well as short form.
Because it makes more sense now. I feel like you're probably in a position where you can say, "Well, I'm going to do this for this long," and they say, "Okay." But like when you were, I suppose, less established, it is sort of.
Well, on Flash, the first time I was on Flash, it was always like, "Well, I hope I can do this storyline, but they might fire me in a year." But as I quickly just said, "Well, Lord, I'm just going to go for it, and if I don't get there, I don't get there." But eventually I got there. I'm in a position where I know I'm under contract, so I know, well, I'll probably be on this book for at least this length, unless some crazy thing happens, which you never know. But I just always, I don't know. I like to plot ahead with confidence, and I like to dedicate myself to a character, like Green Lantern. If I go on Green Lantern and do 6 issues, I don't know. There's not a lot of rebuilding to do there, and for me, it takes longer to get into every corner of the franchise or the character or the world.
So is that what you really like to do?
I like
to take
world
something
building.
and build it?
Yeah, I like world building. Like JSA got so damn big because I couldn't stop building.
His JSA run was great. He worked with David Goyer, early on, and that was fantastic.
Characters.
You did have a lot of characters,
I did.
but I think that goes back to sort of one of the earliest. You had all of these characters, and then really you made it work, which I thought was so strange because you're juggling all those, but you distilled it sort of down to the essence. And I didn't feel like you were skipping around a lot. I mean, do you feel like you got to everything you wanted to in JSA?
I have more stories, but
Yeah.
I left JSA. I probably would have stayed longer, but I'd rather leave while I still have story ideas for that book. I've been on that book for a long time. Blackest Night was coming up, Adventure Comics, Flash, Green Lantern. That's a full slate for me, and I didn't want to, if I couldn't make JSA, if I couldn't take it in a direction that I thought was going to be really great and dedicate all my focus to it, then I thought it was better if I concentrated on continuing Green Lantern and Flash.
How are things different for you now than, like, say, in 2000? Like I mean, when you go to a con, you get mobbed. You've got panels full of people. There's a room full of people here. You're on some of the biggest characters there. Like,
yeah.
How's it different working now than it was then?
I don't know. It still feels like the same in a lot of ways. I think I'm better at it. I don't know how it feels different. It takes longer to write a book.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm a lot harder on my plotting, and
That's for sure,
I think
Jeff.
some of that comes from working on 52. Because on 52, I'd be like, I need 5 pages for this Booster Gold scene, and they'd be like, you got 3. I can't do it in 3. That was like issue 2. You know, I can't do it in 3 pages. I need 5. You only got 3, and then I'd have to work.
That's a cool discipline. I like that. I need 5 pages to do this scene. No, you have to do it in 3. That's cool. I like that. That changed my life.
And throughout 52,
just now, it changed my life.
Scenes that were longer and shortening them, but also realistic.
Bruce Queen, we're watching this because I was going to watch it anyway. So I figured I would turn it on and watch it with you. You know, I feel like I owe a live stream. So
it was so valuable. You could only do a beat, and that made me hone my plotting skills a lot more.
How meticulous are you when you actually do a script? Do you plot everything out very meticulously beforehand and then script?
Yeah.
Do you use like note cards and?
I do outlines. I use my stickies. All of my. If you open up my computer and look at my stickies, you'll see like breakdowns of like 30 issues of stuff. That's just I get notes and I write them all down. So, yeah, I get really meticulous with that too. And I like reference too. I'm reference crazy because I want things to be. If I reference like freaking some obscure character like. Some obscure villain and put him in the book. I want him to be drawn right. So I'll go a little reference crazy. But I also like again, comics and real estate in comics is really you only have 22 pages to tell a story, and I'm always writing over, and I have to go back and see what I can cut. Or
as you go forward, do you find that you're filling those pages with more and then having to take more out than maybe before? You know,
it's very challenging. To fit everything I want in, and occasionally I have to just remember that if it's not imperative to the character, then it's got to come out.
I gotta stop looking at the chat.
Like I've got scenes on the, on the cutting room floor from books that'll never be. That I just had to lift out. These 4 pages don't progress. They're cool beat. They're a cool part of the story, but they're not.
You want me to go faster? So I can do that. I can speed it up.
Throw them away.
It sounds so painful.
It's tough.
Just a little bit.
Now you said you like to build worlds. You like to do that. So how is it important to you that like you've got characters like Citizen Steel or Stargirl or something like that, and they're part of the DC universe now. They're going to be around. That's part of it. Do you want to have that legacy? Like you have that where those characters where you made are living on for for a really long time?
I just want to be able to read the Justice Society of America anytime I want. Hopefully those characters will thrive in there. But like being on introducing characters like I introduced probably about 8 or 9 new characters in JSA. I'd like to see some of them. Some of them will probably stick around, and some of them won't. But it's always fun to see. Stargirl especially is very close to my heart. But Stargirl, I love seeing her in other books. People write her.
Right.
This was 2009.
This episode of iFanboy is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Web hosting from GoDaddy.com includes 99.9% uptime, 24/7
little advertisement here.
The place to install over 30 free applications sure to help you get the most.
GoDaddy.com.
If you want to make an impact online, GoDaddy.com is what you need. .com names for as low as
I don't mind promoting GoDaddy.com. My brother works for
Please
them.
support our sponsors by checking out GoDaddy.com and using the coupon code iFanboy to get 10% off your purchase and let them know that we sent you.
Let's take a couple of questions from out there.
Oh, good.
Does anybody have a question?
Hi, my name's Jay. I have a sort of odd question. Today, you see like a lot of writers can't even handle one book, and you're juggling multiple books, just keeping those stories strong and straight. And kind of asking the question, like he had asked, how long do you plan things out? And do you ever find yourself getting something mixed up, or is it all just so clear to you?
I hope one of you guys is in this audience.
Well, the one advantage I have is that I'm only working in the DC universe instead of like here and here and here. So I'm kind of immersed in the DC universe. I got a pretty rigid. Don't
worry about it. You do your thing.
I've got a pretty rigid work schedule. I work like around 9 to 7 almost every day, and I just enjoy it a lot. So I don't ever find myself. It's always like there's a lot of work to be done, but I'm pretty happy with how I juggle it right now. But I don't usually get my wires crossed because I'll say, oh, this week I'm going to work on Flash, and I'll work on Flash for a week, or this week I'll work on Green Lantern or Adventure Comics or whatever I'm working on. So my wires usually don't get crossed. Well, like Blackest Night, it's actually nice to work on Blackest Night, Green Lantern, and Flash at the same time because Helen Bear.
Again, my artwork is amazing. Look at that fist with the black lantern. I forgot I drew that.
Blackest Night a lot. So as I'm getting to know Barry more and more in Rebirth, it helps inform me in Blackest Night.
I did everything.
Barry's going to
just awesome.
Universe and act and bounce off these guys. So I think working in the DC universe helps me a lot that I can focus on my creative.
Too fast? Okay, hold on.
It's just something I enjoy.
Do you feel like you're working on like the right amount of stuff right now? 'Cause I feel like you have a lot of books. You're doing like a script a week, I guess.
It's about a script a week, but I only have one monthly book right now.
Okay,
so I'm good.
He went through 52 people.
50.
Everything's fine.
I did 52 plus like 3 books a month. I can handle anything. Ask Grant Morris. Like at 52, after that was like detox. We actually all went to Vegas for a weekend. Just to,
with Grant Morrison?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a good time. Forgot about comics for a few days.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, it was it was fun.
I'm gonna.
But you do need to kind of take a break every once in a while.
Here's a question.
whenever-
Hey Jeff, how fat is
For like I'm like, I'm gonna
Vince?
go away for the weekend. I start driving, and immediately right when I'm driving, I start writing stories in my head.
Slender man.
Do you always keep a little notebook with you? And
No, I don't. I usually
Really?
keep everything up here. Yeah.
I forget things so fast.
Yeah.
You're a wonder kid. Another question? Yeah.
How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Thank you.
Good, great. I'd like to say I grew up reading Barry and Hal. I'm glad Harry's back.
This is how fat I am.
Barry's back. Thank you. And I was wondering,
Thin.
you've written for Smallville in the past.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever thought about writing a Green Lantern episode?
It's about my weight.
Not really. I like the Legion because it made sense for in the context of Clark. I mean, if they came to me and said, "Hey, do you want to write now?"
Whoa. Is that Allison Mack? Or am I seeing things?
Episode with Abin or Green Lantern. Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. I have a couple of questions, sort of that people on our website do couldn't be here. So, Six Gun username
That is an
wants to know
Allison Mack. Okay, good.
what writers outside of comics inspire you most.
My biggest inspiration is screenwriters. Brian Helgeland is one. He did LA Confidential and Conspiracy Theory. I think he's an amazing screenwriter. Probably one of my favorite writers out there. But he's a big influence on me. How he structures things.
Are you, when you like watch a movie, are you totally like studying it the whole time?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
annoying to watch stuff with too.
Yeah. It's hard because you can't help it, because it's like if you build houses, when you walk in a house, you're probably going to go, how the hell did they build this house? And that's kind of the attitude you take with film or TV. But mostly screenwriters. There's a lot of screenwriters out there I like that are pretty influential. I read a lot of scripts when I was in school.
Right. Do you like, is there any prose writers or anything like that?
That there's prose writers I like, but there's no writers that really, the stuff I read in prose is mostly nonfiction. I think because I can tend to enjoy that stuff a little bit more for leisure. Is like I like political books or spirituality books or true crime books. There's a guy named John Douglas who was a profiler at the FBI he wrote a few books I really enjoyed his process. But I don't really read a whole lot of prose that is fiction because I just can't enjoy it as much. Though I read my friends' books like Greg Ruck or Greg Hurwitz, all the guys that I know from comics. I'll read their books.
Is there any fiction left that you can enjoy? Do you have guilty pleasures?
My guilty pleasures are probably stuff like like Doll and fantasy books, like kids books like the Phantom Toll Booth. Like that stuff's always fun. Cool. Like Other Worlds. I like the C.S. Lewis and stuff.
Anybody else? Another question? Yeah.
Josh, big fan. I wanted to know what it's like working with other writers, like specifically like the 52 guys and Richard Donner and Jeff Loeb.
You're a big collaborator.
Yeah, I like collaboration because it's fun. This should be a fun job. It's comic books. It's for me, it's the best job in the world.
I love comic fans. Love it.
With like my friends like James Robinson. I really like collaborating with, even though when we don't work on the same book, but when just talking in general. The 52 guys are some of the most. They were my favorite writers prior to that, and they're my favorite writers after that. Grant Morrison is definitely my favorite writer in comics.
Look at Grant.
And a huge influence
They,
on
them.
me. And a very good friend of mine. And Greg Ruck is the same way.
What a piece of shit this guy is. Fuck you.
Because their writing style is so different from mine. They approach stories so differently. And collaborating like that, you learn a lot. And I probably learned more in that year of writing on 52 than I learned in anywhere else. And it's sum total of my career.
You was it James Robinson who helped you get into the industry in the first place?
Yeah, James. Well, originally I was shooting a film out here with Donner. I was just out of school. I was a young kid, and I met a bunch of people from DC who I gave them a tour of the set, and I was fetching Richard Donner's coffee and spilling it on myself. And they said, "Hey, you really like comics?" And I said, "I've been reading them all my life." And they said, "You should pitch us something if you have any ideas." And about a year later, I came with Stars and Stripes.
How does that happen, man? I mean, it's fate, clearly, but
yeah, I mean, it's also, I think they probably were being a little just more polite than anything. Like, hey, if you have an idea. And I was so busy, I thought, well, maybe I'll if I come with something, I'll pitch him something. And about a year later, I had Stars and Stripes, and I had
that was like right when I started at DC. I remember this coming out. And Jeff did it. I was doing Impulse, and Jeff was doing this. He had done a 4-part DC miniseries. He's acting like this is the first thing he did. It wasn't. He did something. I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a doomy kind of Spectre thing. And then he did this, and this was very, very well received. Lee Moder, I haven't heard that name in a long time. And we did a crossover. He brought Stars and Stripe over to Impulse. I did the cover for it. Didn't get to work with him, but that's when I started talking to him. My schedule didn't line up enough to draw that issue of Impulse. There was a fill-in artist. But yeah, that's when we became friends.
I met James Robinson in LA, and I met him actually before.
He said, I remember like a podcast.
I met him at a con when I was in college. I met him at a con. I was probably 19, and I love Starman.
Yeah,
and we just talked film for like half an hour, and we just became friends. So when we moved out to LA, I was like, got a job with Donner. I said, hey, I'm out in LA. We got coffee. We just kind of struck up a friendship, and about a year after I met the people at DC, I came with this idea for Stars and Stripes because I wanted to create a superhero for girls, because I felt like the DC universe didn't have all their superheroes for girls were like Supergirl, Wonder Girl, Batgirl. Nobody had their own legacy, and I wanted to create somebody that my sister, who had passed away a year earlier, I wanted to create something that she would have liked. And so I came with this idea for Stars and Stripes, which was, if anyone doesn't know it, which I'm sure a lot of people don't, because it was a pretty obscure book. It's about a girl who finds out her new stepfather was a sidekick to a superhero. And so she becomes a new version of his old partner.
This is why, like, Jeff creates a comic book for girls. You know what I mean? And this is why they hate him. She's blonde, blue-eyed. You know, I mean, it's like, but it is for girls. Like, you look at that and you go, she's just representing. She's just a DC superhero. It's just quite accidental, you know. But like, that kind of thing would never be tolerated now. It just would not be tolerated in mainstream comics.
Make them mad, really. And it's a stepfather, stepdaughter superhero team. And I pitched it to James, and he really liked it. Gave me some pointers. I turned it into the guys at DC.
No, Jeff is not an SJW.
Mike Carlin, an editor named Chuck Kim, really enjoyed it. Mike Waringo drew a picture of Star Spangled Kid, the first picture ever.
You have that?
I have it framed in my office.
Nice.
Mike was an awesome guy. I had met Mike at a show at some point too, and so
Mike S. Miller met Mike Waringo too. Jeff. Mike S. Miller had a piece of Mike Waringo art as well. I wonder where that is. I wonder what happened to that piece of art.
So anyway, I pitched it, and it was supposed to be a miniseries, and then they turned it to a monthly. That was it.
Before they said to you, pitch us some ideas if you had them, I mean, had you thought about writing comics professionally? I mean, was that something?
A little bit, but I was so concentrated on a film, and being assistant to a director is not easy. So that was like a 90-hour-a-week job. And that was fine, because that's what I wanted to do. So when I had some downtime to do comic stuff, I did. And they bought that, and I thought, well, I'll do Stars and Stripes for fun, just for fun.
Consumed by Scott Kurtz.
Then James,
probably.
And I met Goyer, David Goyer, because they wanted to ask me about Star Spangled Kid. And Goyer said, hey, James left. Do you want to co-write JSA with me? This is like issue 3. I hadn't even had a comic out yet. I was like, I guess so.
You fell ass backwards into this.
Yeah. And so I got into it, and I learned a lot from writing with Goyer for those first 2 years. And then Stars and Stripes was getting canceled, and I said, oh, that was fine. I'll just co-write JSA with Goyer. And Joey Cavalieri called me and said, hey, do you want to write The Flash? And that was my favorite character. He said 6 issues. I said, sure. I turned in my second script, and he said, do you want to just stay? I said, okay. And then from there, that's when I really focused on. I really was enjoying it. I was balancing working for Donner and writing Flash and JSA, and then I did some Marvel work. I did The Thing, I did Avengers, and then I got offered Hawkman, and that's when I was like, I can't do all. I was literally like, not sleeping.
How many years or so? I guess were you?
I did that from probably about, I think, 2.5 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I worked all those jobs, and then eventually I had to move on from Donner's, which is very hard because he's like a dad to me now.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's
and
amazing.
I signed with DC so I could focus my energies, because I felt like if I really want to dedicate myself to this,
What a great start, to get to work with Richard Donner. You're Richard Donner's assistant. What a great fucking start. And it's like I guess at the time I just thought that's pretty cool. But it's like now, holy shit. That's Richard Donner, man. He directed those Twilight Zone episodes with William Shatner. He directed the Twilight episode with William Shatner where there was a gremlin on the wing of a plane. That was Richard Donner, man. Legend.
I want to be able to really dedicate myself to the DC universe, and that's what I did.
Cool.
Cool.
Another question.
Sorry, that was a really long answer.
That's good. Back here, want to stand up? Hi, Allie.
So in Green Lantern, we've seen Hal with a bunch of different color rings on, not just the green one.
Yep.
Is he gonna try on every ring and become like master of the emotional?
He will not be trying on every ring.
Oh man! And any chance of, like, a white lantern that kind of does the spectrum stuff?
Possibly.
Do you really want to know what's going to happen ahead of time? Here's one from a user called Alan Mack. He said, wanted to know, what is the most difficult?
And again, this was all my idea. I just said, you know what? We have these different color rings. And then we just, what people are going to really like? They're going to say, well, what would happen if this person put on this color ring and this that's what it's all about. It's all about fans getting involved and using their imaginations and doing fan art. That's how to sell comic books, Jeff. It's interesting. Some of this other stuff is interesting. These are interesting thoughts, but it's all about interactivity. That's what it is. And you've got a young lady standing up going, is Hal Jordan going to put on all the rings? Yes, he is, because we're going to eventually run out of ideas. He's going to put on all the rings, and then he's going to put on the white power ring. The white power ring, not the white power ring. The white power ring. It stands for life, interestingly enough. The black power ring is death. That's weird. The white power ring is life. It's and then they all turn white. They all put on white costumes and they wear the white ring. That's interesting. Well, fortunately, we didn't give them hoods. Their costumes didn't have hoods. We could have done that. But yeah, that's what it's all about. They're going to go through the whole spectrum of. He's going to put on the purple ring and the yellow ring and then he's going to ultimately put on the white power ring. And normally he wears a green power ring, but the white power ring is coming later. And you can find those. It's so embarrassing. Like, DC actually made them. And I did not intend this. This was not something that I did for laughs, even though it is funny. But you can go on eBay and you can order. They made plastic rings. You can get, I don't know why the alt-right hasn't picked this up as a joke, but you can get the DC Comics plastic white power ring. They did make them. All right.
Difficult scene or comic that you've had to write, and then what would be a single moment that you got the most excited about? Like, I guess the thing you're the most proud of.
I'm most proud of the white lanterns. I like the white. The thing that I'm most proud of, put the microphone in this direction, Mr. Interviewer. I like those white lanterns. That was the best thing that we did. The white, and they had these white power rings. Most proud of that. I thought that was a good idea. Thank you. See what
Jeff
says.
A lot of different things. I think one of the most difficult things to write was the death of Superboy, because he was my second favorite character for a long, long time, next to Flash. Flash and Superboy were like, so killing him was really
very sad.
Really, really hard. And it was hard because I felt it when I did it. And so when I wrote that scene, and Wonder Girl is like, "You saved the whole universe," and he says the last line's like, "Yeah, Cass, isn't it cool?" And then he dies, and you're like, "Oh." I was like, I just sat there at the keyboard, really depressed for.
Did you get misty? Did you mist yourself up?
I did. I got really misty.
It's okay.
I laughed.
That was tough. There's a lot of hard scenes. There's actually Flash Rebirth 3. The last half of that was really emotional for me. Green Lantern 25, when Hal, I love the scene. It makes me all misty too. Is when I was writing it, Hal says, he's telling his brother, like, Sinestro, like, these freaking guys are coming to Coast City. You got to get out. Everybody evacuate this city. And he says, we're not leaving.
Staying here.
City said, and
whole city lights up green.
And he looks out, and everyone's lighting green lights in the window. Just
Coast City, bitches.
We're staying.
And so when you get the pages back for something like that, did it look like what you expected?
Yeah, and then Hal just looks at his brother, and then Kyle and Hal fly up to beat ass, and Hal says, Hal says hell of a family, and Kyle says hell of a town, and you see this big double page spread of them flying up with the glowing green city, and that's the birth of the city without fear. And for me, that was very powerful.
Yeah, hit that like button if you like me
Hal,
watching an interview.
I felt for Hal, empathy for Hal,
from
because that came full
2009.
circle of
Hit that like button.
And
thumbs up.
Destroyed, and all these people are dead, and then seeing it rebuilt, and seeing the faith they put back in his hands. That they didn't blame him for that, and that they believed in him, and that allowed him to believe in himself and overcome fear. Because Hal, for that one moment, was saying, "Run away," and that's something that totally is against character for him. So that scene was really powerful because it was a culmination for me of his entire journey,
themes,
and his family.
How long? I mean, I don't know if this has something to do with the end of Blackest Night, but like, how long are you planning on keeping going with Hal Jordan or with Green Lantern?
I've got no endpoint right now.
So and I assume you're planned out for the next 6-8 years.
Well, my focus really right now is Hal,
actually longer
Hal
than
Jordan,
that.
Green Lanterns, and Barry Allen and the Flash, Flash family. So that's what my focus is going to be for the foreseeable future.
Okay. Anyone? Another thing right here? Stand up.
How is George Perez doing on Legion of Three Worlds? Is he
Number
done yet?
4 should be out. It's beautiful. It's number 4 is done, I think, as of tomorrow, and should be out in about, I don't want to promise anything. I'm guessing and hoping 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, because it goes to the printer and it has to all this stuff. But it's supposed to be done, not 6 months.
I said weeks.
6 weeks, and then issue 5 will probably be shipped. It'll be shipped in June at some point.
So go tell the Manson family they're gonna have to wait.
There's a lot of discussions about that, and I hate late comics too. But this is a comic book that you see the work George is putting into the pages, and you can't deny he's not playing, Call of Duty 4. He's drawing the book, and
while playing Call of Duty.
And George is such a master, and I think he's proven himself over the years that hopefully they're worth the wait. I think the art alone makes them worth the wait, and the stuff we have coming up in issues 4 and 5 is pretty killer. It feeds into everything else I'm doing, which is cool, and it's its own story on its own. But issue 4 is really pretty spectacular. It's by far and away the best issue of the bunch so far.
I mean,
but it's coming.
You grew up when George Perez was, he's a legend, but at that time he was like the big name in artists. What's it like to work with these guys now for you? I mean,
it's for Perez, it's great. He's a master storyteller. You don't get any more professional than this. So you give him all this insanity to draw, and he does it and makes it even better than you'd ever hope. So, and he sticks to emotions, which is nice. He never forgets it's about emotions. That's why I like 4 so much, because it's a very emotional book. But it's a thrill. It's an honor to work with somebody like Perez.
I mean, I would assume that would not that you're having a hard time getting to your game, but I mean, like, if you're always thinking George Perez is the guy on the other end of the script, so it has to be awesome.
It has to be good.
Yeah.
But also it's got to build to his strengths and also my strengths. So Legion of Three Worlds is a storyline that if anyone's reading it, it's a bajillion characters. Only George could draw that. On top of that, though, I want to make sure that's an emotional ride for these guys. So you see these story arcs. If you look at Lightning Lad, he starts here and then he ends up somewhere else. You know, Brainiac 5 is probably the most fun to write because he's got
Chris
two other
Boitano
Brainiac 5s.
says
Yeah.
this is nostalgic and depressing all at once. I know. I'm feeling the same way. Like tremendous waves of nostalgia for when DC Comics was really good. And this is it. I mean, Jeff was at the top of it, you know. It's like, man, he cared. We all cared about this stuff. And I've been saying lately, it's like what a waste of time it was. And it was like, we really did care. And for what? You know, we did all this great work. We entertained people for a little while, which is really all comics should do, I guess. But, you know, it's like I don't know. The corporation just kind of, I don't think they reward people like us adequately. They certainly look at what's happening to Jeff.
Yelling at him. One thinks he's an idiot because he's old, and the other one thinks he's kissing his ass the whole time. And they always are arguing. That's not the right thing. And the guy gets to get a haircut, and and at the end of there's some funny stuff with him at the end of Legion 3 Worlds. But my goal really with that book was to tell a big crisis style story in the 31st century, but also make sure it was a story about these characters, about people.
Okay. There was a question back there somewhere, I think.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I was just wondering about Blackest Night.
Holy shit.
Had the big bug for Fear and the whale for...
What is that enormous? Is that an enormous poster, or is that forced perspective?
More animals.
You'll see two living entities. One will kind of just be referenced in issue 43, and you'll see another one in issue 43. Not exactly how you expect them.
Were there rejected lantern colors? You're like,
No.
oh, we decided not to do mauve.
No.
No.
I haven't heard that one before though.
Okay.
No, I have. Everyone's like, "Hey, when's the aqua blue?" Oh, they're gonna be.
I'm genuinely curious if you started with a
No, because I didn't want, like, in all honesty, the simple fact is, like, Roy G. Biv, everybody knows that.
Right. Okay.
So I don't want to go beyond that and also I didn't want to have a million color, like.
Right.
So what are the, and
someday 10 years from now, somebody's going to do that story. It's going to be awful.
Yeah. When they introduce the chartreuse lanterns, but hopefully they won't.
They have done that, Jeff.
But no, I always want to stick with the Roy G. Biv because it was very, green's for me the fulcrum. So you've got 3 on either end, fighting towards green. But it was never going to be more than that.
Okay.
And black.
I mean, and also were the I guess the emotions
white
that were related with those, did those all come fairly easily?
Yeah, pretty quick.
Yeah.
The only one that was tough, orange.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I was like,
that...
I want greed, but I can't say greed because it's green. Like, you just say greed and it just feels like it should be.
And I said avarice, Jeff. This is the one thing that I used to. My ex-wife used to have trouble with this because she'd be there when these discussions were happening, and I'm sitting there like, no, honey, listen, telling her about all these ideas, and then we'd have these conversations with Jeff where a lot of ideas would come from me. And then Jeff would just be like, never. I understand why he did it. I understand. But like, yeah, where did these ideas come from? When did you start building towards Blackest Night? When Ethan called me at 4 a.m, it's like but we don't say that, instead in the beginning, it's like, he's a manic genius. And that's what I get. I get called a genius. That's what I get for this. But every idea came from Jeff. Like, that's the implication. That's the trade-off. And it was frustrating. It was a little bit frustrating because it's like, yeah, you do kind of want to be credited for your ideas. But at the same time, every single writer is like this. Mark Waid used to talk about how writing a comic book was like a big game of stone soup, where, you have, you say, I'm writing a comic book. And then you get on the phone and you talk to all your friends and you sort of fool them into contributing an ingredient to your soup. And before too long, you have an entire story that everybody contributed to. And then that's your story. That's your soup. You made that yourself. But that's kind of the way it is,
Green. Mm-hmm. And I just was like, well, what else is a word for greed? And avarice. That sounds kind of orange.
That was me, Jeff.
Yeah.
So works. It's just avarice.
If he says it, you'll believe it.
Yeah. That's where that came from. And Agent Orange is actually turned out to be one of my favorite characters. He's kind of like the cross between a dirty Muppet and like a Looney Tunes character. Like he's really bizarre. One of the first time Hal meets him, he's like Hal wakes up and he's at this long table in this underground palace, and Hal's kind of tied up with like rope that wouldn't even like really bother him, and he just hears snorting. And he's looking over like roasted hackle beast and all this rotten fruit, and he's like, "What the hell?" And he sees this guy at the other end. He goes, "You hungry, Green Lantern?" And then a little head goes, "I'm always hungry."
Are you? I mean, the way that you tell me these stories, like, are your scripts, like the action descriptions of your script, really dense?
It depends on the scene.
Okay.
Yeah, they can be. I remember I once wrote for Scott Collins on Flash. It was a one panel for Keystone City. It was 2-page description.
Get a little Alan Moore working in there.
Well, no, it was just like saying this is what Keystone City is all about. This is what you should
That's
remember.
beautiful
And so the
artwork.
next time I did the script, I said,
Scott
Keystone,
Collins.
it's sunny. Because then he'd already like, so it really depends. Like on the startup for Flash, a lot of description,
right?
You know, Captain Cold, all these guys, like they look like they've been through hell. They're drinking beer, you know, out of big mugs because they're drunks and all this other stuff. So it depends. Like if I'm just getting started on a book, and with an artist, there's a lot more description than there is later on, because then they know they know the characters of the history or the tone of the book.
Ellie Munoz, Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby, perfect analogy. You know, and that is the way it is. Like somebody's going to be the front man. You know, that's how it is. You know, the writer is always going to take the credit. You know, the artist is doing a lot of the. I don't even know how to describe it, but
guys, well, Gary Frank, I talked to
Jeff describes it as mania. You
all
know,
the time. You know, we talk a lot about the scenes and reworking the scenes and everything.
Thanks to Netflix for sponsoring this episode of iFanboy. With Netflix, you can rent over 100,000 titles online with free shipping both ways to your home. They have over 40 shipping centers, so almost all deliveries happen within just one business day. If you have an Xbox 360, they're streaming to that. If you have a PlayStation 3, then you can get Blu-ray titles. So there's all sorts of ways that you can use Netflix.
Yeah, I'm the drummer.
The Netflix plans start from just $4.99. As a new member, you can get a free no-risk 2-week trial. Check it out at www.netflix.com/ifanboy, and don't forget to use that www.
I don't know how to skip the ad.
That code.
I'll go here and then back there after. So,
well, pretty much, I grew up like when I first, no, not grew up, but I started reading comics. But I mean, when I started, when I jumped on was when you were writing on Wally, and pretty much now I'm more interested. Like I know everyone's interested in Barry, but like like you stated earlier, like I grew up on Wally, so I'm more interested in Wally, obviously. So it's kind of like what I'm more worried about, or not even worried, but interested is. What about Wally? Like, I mean, I know there's 2 Flashes now. I know before it was like Jay and Barry or Jay and Wally, but now it's like Wally and Barry, and then sometimes Bart, depending on what he wants to put on. You know, it's kind of like, what's the point of having 2 Flashes? I think like
you'll read the book and you'll see. But I'm
that's his job.
I'm very aware of that, obviously.
And the other thing is, I know when you're writing Wally before, it's kind of like Wally wanted to fit into Barry's shoes. Is there going to be kind of like a reverse effect of that? Kind of like,
what if that was Young Sketch Therapy? That would be so great to have that on video. Yeah, I have a question, motherfucker. Why you suck the cock of Wally West? Why you suck the cock of Barry Allen, motherfucker? Wally West is my fucking Flash.
Barry saying like, oh, Wally did it this way. You know, am I fitting into Wally's shoes now?
You kind of hit on a bit of a scene in issue 3, but you have to read it. Sorry, but you're close. You're close.
In the back, did you have a question?
Yeah. When you roll off of a book, do you keep reading it every month, or do you like put it away and then just check it out once in a while? And see what
Depends what the book is. In all honesty, there's certain books I've left, and I just didn't quite enjoy the direction of the book, so I'd stop instead of make myself angry that I left. But there's other books that I follow that I left. I liked what Paul Miotti and Gray did on Hawkman. I thought that was nice. So it all depends on the book, but I usually don't follow them religiously unless I really enjoy the book. But I read just about everything at DC because I get a comp box. So.
Do you read other comics? I know that.
I read tons of comics.
Okay.
I mean, I read like I buy, sacrilegious, but I buy Marvel comics and because I don't get them. So
that's why we all buy them.
Yeah. So I read a lot of DC stuff, but also because I'm working on DC stuff, I know a lot about where this is going. That like I like reading Batman stuff because I don't know where the hell it's going. Yeah, and
we don't either.
Yeah, and well, I love Grant. Like anything Grant does, I actually buy Grant stuff. I don't like to wait for that stuff. And but like right now, I'm buying. What am I buying? Walking Dead. I like that book. I like Cap. I like some of the Avengers books. I like. What else did I just read?
Marvel's so cheap, you know. Like they used to give us. We were both on the comps list. Being on the comps list is great. It used to be great because you just get a box of everything that they put out every single month. At first, it's great. Then it just becomes like, oh shit, what am I going to do with all these? But yeah, Marvel ended their comps list in like 2003. DC kept it going. DC's comps list was I think it's still continuing. I'm finally off of it because I did a live stream, here on Comic Artist Pro Secrets where I opened up a box and said, why am I still getting these? I don't work for DC. And somebody must have seen it and taken me off the list. So that's fine. But yeah, Marvel ended their comps list a long time ago. And I thought that was just kind of not good. I think if you're a professional and you're working for Marvel, or even if you're a professional and you have worked for Marvel and you might in the future, you should be on a comps list and you should see what they're doing all the time. It doesn't cost anything. They should be doing that. But it costs too much right now, doesn't it?
I buy Spider-Man once in a while.
Have you ever
Wolverine? Wolverine, I'm buying right now.
They don't want you to buy Spider-Man, it seems.
Yeah. Well, I actually like McNiven stuff on Wolverine's pretty amazing.
Do you read? Do you ever read other kind of indie graphic novels or stuff like that?
Yeah, I read. I mean, whatever I come across, I'll pick up. And I just read I'm reading the Scott Pilgrim stuff right now, which is really good. And well, it's not really indie, but
that was the start right there. The Scott Pilgrim stuff, that was the beginning. That's the beginning of Cal Arts, and then the inspiration to SJWs, because every SJW read that. I don't know what it is with SJWs. They're so low effort. Like you look at George Perez's artwork as an SJW, and you're like, I could never fucking do that. I have no talent. But you look at Scott Pilgrim, and you're like, what, bitch about my gay relationships and draw like a monkey? I could do that. Anybody could draw like the Scott Pilgrim Cal Art style. You know, it's easy to adopt. I'm not saying everybody could do it as well as Scott Pilgrim, but anybody could look at that and go, yeah, I could do this. I could work in comics. You just need me to mope about how, I stained my mattress with my period blood and my boyfriend yelled at me and draw like this. Yeah, I could do that. That's the beginning right here. 2009, this is the beginning of all that. Wasn't there yet.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful book. What else do I like? I don't know. There's a lot of books out there.
What I mean, is there a point, like a graphic novel from something like things that you read that are your favorite graphic novels or stuff like that? The stuff that really affected you.
I really loved Shade the Changing Man by Milligan. Back in the day, that was awesome. The first half of that series, that was a really great book. Suicide Squad, I really loved. Flash, Justice League International.
That's cool.
Yeah, just
keep listening books for another 8 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I have a wall in my office. If it ever falls, I'm going to be crushed. But I have a wall that goes up to my ceiling in my office of just comics that are on pull-up boxes. That probably goes from there to the guy in the Detroit hat. And most of it's just reference.
It's too many
reference stuff. But I could talk about runs all day.
Yeah. Way in the back on the wall.
When DC is bringing back characters in the future, as they inevitably will, do you think they're going to come to you?
I can't believe they made me stand against the wall and ask Jeff a question like this.
Ethan Van Sciver work on it. Are we going to get Bruce Wayne rebirth in a couple of years?
Ethan and I have talked a lot about this. I don't know if there's a rebirth beyond Flash rebirth. I think Green Lantern and Flash, for some reason, they go together like peanut butter and jelly. So I don't know it makes sense to do another one. I don't think it does.
It did, didn't it, though, Jeff? Because we had to rebirth the entire DC universe after they took this away from you. After you kind of went away to Hollywood for a little while, they fucked up the DC Comics line so badly they had to ask you to come back and do a DC rebirth on everything. And thank God Jeff called me up. He's just like, "Well, I'm not doing it without you." And he gave me some pretty choice stuff to do. But I mean, you know, it's funny. Like Batman Rebirth, Wonder Woman Rebirth. No.
I'm not really interested in another Rebirth, and I also don't think you can get much better than Hal Jordan and Barry Allen.
Booster Gold Rebirth, Jeff.
Batman, I think, is a whole different animal. But who knows? Who knows? Aquaman's cool.
Another question for the website. Edward said, in the One World Under GOG Justice Society arc, you played a little with the format of the traditional like monthly comics. There were some specials in there. Same thing is happening sort of in the Superman titles. And I guess he sort of want to know what your thoughts are on the monthly format as it exists. Are you one of those people who wants to stick to the monthly format as long as possible, or do you is trades a big thing?
Well, trades, I mean, they're going to trade everything whether you like it or not, and I like it. Everyone should like it because then everybody can read it. But it's certain books, like obviously they're going to collect Flash Rebirth in a trade. There's just no question about it. With JSA, it's like, well, where are they going to break it? You don't really know where they're going to break it. I think there's more in writing comics nowadays. There's more play for format. I like the weekly format's really interesting.
Would you do it again though?
It depends on the project. It'd have to be really cool, and with the right people. Because again, I like collaboration. But I like doing like specials and one shots and things to just shake it up a little bit, so it's not the same thing. And I also enjoy books that are extra length, like Sinestro Corps was 54 pages, and I love that because it allowed me the room to do everything I wanted. Blackest Night 1 is like I think double size too, so or close to it. So it gives you at the same price. So it gives you it gives you more to play with. But I like mixing up with format. I did Action Comics Annual a year ago where we had a lot of little stories that were just, it was kind of like a cool throwback. But the monthly book is cool. But and if I worked on one title, if I was just working on Green Lantern, I'd probably be doing a lot more ancillary books with it.
Is there one more question?
Why?
In the back?
Question. Agent Orange, how do you pronounce his name?
Larfleeze.
Okay.
And I'll tell you how I got that name.
The second question is, what's your spin on working with the controls? Because everybody that actually did the controls in Green Lantern, they were in and they were out. They were just pop-ins and defeated and they were going out. Next issue.
Yeah, they're basically Guardians, but they're idiots.
Boy, how weird is it? There are black people in the audience and they're asking questions of Jeff, and it's not, when am I going to be represented in the comics? I need to see more black people in comics. Isn't that weird? In 2009, you have a whole room full of like a crowd of people of various ethnicities. None of them are asking questions involving identity. It's almost as though this happened all at once. It's almost like it was a political flood of weirdos that all came in with an agenda. You got a black guy in the crowd. He goes, how do you pronounce Larfleeze? And also, what's up with this in the story? And he just cares about the story because Jeff is writing good stories. Man, it really is something else. This is a time capsule. It's just incredible.
All right. So they've never had a successful, Agent Orange says this about him when they come after him in issue 1. He says, these guys tried to start the Dark Stars. They had the effigy guys. They failed every time. They're idiots. And they continue to be. Larfleeze came from, I was naming this Muppet guy, and I want him to be this disgusting. Like, he's got like he'll find a morsel of food in his thing that's like 2 weeks old and eat it. But he's this disgusting little kind of creature. And so I said, what are the two grossest words I can think of? Well, lard and sleaze. And so I just smashed them together for Larfleeze, and that's where it came from. Yeah. But he's a cool character. I can try and answer some quick questions so everybody can get one in because I saw a bunch of hands.
Idea for the Red Lantern cat?
Oh, Dexstar?
Yeah.
Shane Davis's Dexstar gets a shout out. Look at that. See, this is the thing, man. Comic skaters, Shane Davis, created a cat. You're all wondering why he's doing a cat book now. Dexstar, hold on. Dexstar, created by Shane Davis. Big fan following. I love it.
I was just curious what
Jane, everyone I work with, I collaborate a lot. Shane and I were goofing around, and I said, well, I want it to look kind of, I wanted a small red lantern to be really ferocious, and he said, what about something that looks somewhat like
Shane
a house
Davis.
cat? I said, try it, and it was funny. But yeah, I wanted like the most the most unsuspicious character to be a red lantern.
Cat Pappy.
Starman. What's going on with him? Where would his story go next?
You'll see him in Legion of Three Worlds #4.
Oh, excellent. Thank you.
And then Adventure Comics.
Man, that makes me happy.
As far as the Blackest Night goes, how did you come up with the list of the lanterns?
Now, when he said Blackest Night, he didn't mean black. He meant, the story's called Blackest Night. Once again, we have people of color, POC, and they're only interested in the stories. They are not sitting here complaining about identity issues. They're not fighting about social justice. They're not demanding that comics reflect anything other than what they are. They're just involved in the stories, man, because the stories are good. It's fascinating.
Just the Black Lantern. By like emotional content or just like what's cool?
A bit of everything. Yeah, a bit of everything. And they had to be dead.
Right here.
How many people will be collaborating with you in Blackest Night?
Peter Tomasi is going to be writing Green Lantern Corps, and if you haven't, I'm sure most of you are reading that because it's a great book. And then there's a few other writers that'll be working on some ancillary stuff, but not many writers, which I'm very happy about. We've got a pretty close to guys that are going to do anything with Blackest Night, so we can see it all, make sure it's the best it can be.
Right in the back.
With reference to the Blue Lantern Corps, it seems like they're just going to be there for the Blackest Night. Do you see them being there post Blackest Night?
I can't talk post Blackest Night.
Because it's brightest day. Introducing the White Lanterns with white power rings. It's all lined up.
Questions here.
Okay. Adventure Comics. Anthology or just straight up monthly comic?
It's a monthly comic. It will have more than one. It has one lead.
They ruined
and
all
it'll
of
have
this.
other characters that weave in and out.
Social Justice Warriors ruined all of this.
Comics, so it'll be a variety of stuff, but it does have a lead character.
These are good, happy fans who are engaging with a writer that they enjoy on books that they enjoy. They're not focused on anything other than fun stories. And DC Comics and Marvel Comics threw all of this away. They just threw it away. I see this audience smiling, happy, engaged, questions about the stuff that Jeff's doing. And, there's no tension in the room. Everybody's happy. It's just awesome.
One last question over here.
From the time that you actually write the script to the time that you actually finish it, there's a lot that goes on. Things in like your personal life, you get new ideas. Things happen in the news. So how much does a script change from the time that you think about it to where you write it down to when it actually goes into the final production?
After I write it and then it goes to production, it doesn't change that much. Sometimes dialogue will get tweaked just because the art will be different than you thought, or there's a different emotion, or you come with a better line. But most of the time, they stay pretty much the same. I mean, after I'm done, they always are constantly evolving before I write them. But once I write them, they're pretty much locked. Barring input from my editors and stuff.
Are you a retweaker? Like, do you?
I thought he was going to say something else.
Or do you put so much thought ahead of time that
I think about stuff so far in advance that once. Like there's certain scenes that once I write down, I know that was the scene. Like Captain Cold issue of Flash I did years ago. I had that whole issue in my head for probably a year and a half before I wrote it. So I wrote it one day. I just
Great Scott Collins art.
And with that relief, I think it's probably a good time to stop this part. So thanks so much.
Cool. Thanks guys.
It's totally fun.
Hey. Well, that was fun for me. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I was going to watch that interview anyway. I saw that it came up on my recommended videos, and I just thought, I'm going to watch this. And then I thought, I'm going to watch it with everyone. And I'm glad that I did, because it reminded me of what we should be striving for in comics. What I want to do, and what I'm sure many of you also want to do, is create stories that engage readers and make them want more. I have questions. I want to know more about this story. awesome. Just awesome. It's so sad to me. I mean, that was only 12 years ago. So sad to me that that is gone now. You know, it really is just, it's a shame. It's a real shame. Can we bring it back? Can we win that again? Can we make that happen? I'd like to think so. And I'd like to think that we're in a unique position to rebirth that attitude among fans. Scratchpad says, people often understate the meaning of entertainment. Comics like DC used to offer mythological stories that guide societies to survival. Now they don't. Force Goes Fabio says, Ethan, you're better than DC. Don't look back. I don't usually. I like to... I like Geoff Johns. Geoff Johns is under attack right now. It's fun to go back and look and just remind myself of who he was. Not a perfect guy. I had issues with him, obviously. You know, but the problem is that as it turns out, we're both kind of alpha dogs. And we both want to run things our own way. We both have our own stories. But Geoff was going to win because he is the writer. And looking back, not bitter at all. Perfectly okay. Amargard says, unlike bums in this chat, I'm at work. Don't delete. Johnny D says, because there is no such thing as alt-right. That was a 2016 campaign fodder and fake news. Snarkticon DM says, did anyone ever want to make a Doomsday Red Lantern? I figured it was pretty rage-filled. I never did read all of Blackest Night yet, so I don't know who had all the rings. I feel like they did do that. Red Hood 777 says, hey, Ethan, I love you and Geoff Johns. Well, I love you too, and I'm sure Geoff would as well. Johnny D says, so awesome seeing you win after the freaks canceled you. The SJW pain you cause turns me on in a weird semi-sexual way. 200 Watt Studio says his JSA before Infinite Crisis was great. Ryan Twos says, so will Jawbreakers finally come in a Gemini mailer to Canada? Zach's books always come damaged here. We'll make sure they get there safely. Dan says, hi, Uncle E. Please make us a He-Man size Rainbow the Brute toy for us to all to buy. Okay, I will. Joe Wojnowski says, Ethan, have you considered making a Rainbow the Brute troll doll with sculpted hair and a fuzzy beard? We are doing that right now. That's in progress. Puts a unique spin on it, and what could be more masculine than a beard? We are going to do that. That's in the works. Pie Guy 07 says, do you have the pencils for the Barry getting the costume on? That looks beautifully complicated. I'm sure it's somewhere, but it's before I used to scan my own pages. I used to just turn pages in. So I don't have a scan of it, unfortunately. Installation 7 says, would you hire Geoff to write a Jawbreakers book or Cyberfrog? Like that, in a heartbeat. Deltaverse Comics says, Hi-Fi taking their course. They like my colors. Hi-Fi is awesome. 200 Watt Studio says, I need to spend more time on man nipples, quote-unquote EVS. Nolan Nerd says, just realized I haven't gotten a member's card since the brothers card during the election. Do you have backstock to send me all the ones? I am missing Nolan Nerd. If you are a member of the channel, still send us an email, cyberfroghelp@gmail.com. And include your address and your request, and we'll see if we can accommodate you. Zaid Comics, congrats, Uncle E, on Jawbreakers and growing all caps. Excited to hear about writing opportunities. That's great news for Comicsgate creators. Some of the most fun I've had was writing with Malin on Graveyard Shift this year. Josh THX 1138 says, nobody sucks his own dick as humbly as you, bro. Thank you. Trevor Nielsen says, see, you mentioned wanting an editor, and Heather Antos calls. No. Cloud9 Ninja says, my 6-year-old son would love a Cyberfrog shirt. Wolven says, hi, Uncle E. Will there be a second chance for Starblades for those who missed the first run? Maybe, but maybe not. We're really tight on books, on issues that are available. Yorashimi Otaru says, all caps should do a McCarthy biographic novel. I would love to. Merlin's ID says, I started working on a pulp. Imagine John Constantine crossed with Venom. Thank you to the Fandom Menace for inspiring me to do it myself. Thank you, guys. I've got to run. Great being with you, and I will see you again soon with another video. Adios.